What is up, guys? This is Bullvyi the Fell-Handed. Today we are going to learn about the Tier 4 Soviet destroyer, the Gremyashchy, located in the Founders Pack. And also we're going to have a game as well, so make sure to stick around for that. The Gremyashchy was the name of a ship in the Gremyashchy class of destroyers. Its name means thunderous. This ship was officially known as Project 7. The design for the Gremyashchy class destroyer was a marriage of Italian and Soviet ideas. The Gremyashchy class, however, had a significant structural weakness and poor seaworthiness, much like many of the Italian ships at that time. Seaworthiness was further affected for the worse, as the Soviet ships carried armament heavier than that of their Italian counterparts. By the time these issues were solved, 31 ships had already been produced. Going forward, a modified version was ordered to be produced under the name Type 7U. The keel for the Gremyashchy was laid down July 23, 1936, and completed August 28, 1938. The Gremyashchy class had 2 steam turbines powered by fuel oil, each pushing a triple screw. The primary armament was 4 single-mount 130mm guns classified as B-13s, 2 forward and 2 aft. The numerous anti-aircraft guns were considered to be inadequate for proper air defense at that time. There were 2 depth charge throwers placed aft and a complement of 24 charges. There were 6 533mm torpedo tubes in rotating banks of 3 amidships, with 1 reload apiece for each launcher. Within 2 days of being built, the Gremyashchy was commissioned to the Baltic Fleet, along with 2 Type 7s and 13 Type 7Us. The Gremyashchy was regulated to patrol and escort duty during the Winter War and did not participate in any battle. Once the Soviet Union entered World War II, the Gremyashchy saw considerable action. The ship was overhauled at Molotovskis in December 1944. Sadly, the ship outlived its usefulness and was used as a target along with other dated ships for nuclear testing in 1957. And that is the history of the ship named Gremyashchy. Now let's get to the game. Okay, guys, let's keep it moving. We are on Trident in the Tier 4 Soviet Gremyashchy. Let's take this thing out and perform some sea trials and see what's going on. We've got 3 caps before us here. Now, normally what I like to do is try to just poke my head in one of these caps, right there on the edge, if you will. It's even better if you can kind of have an island nearby where if things go south, you don't necessarily have to waste your smoke early in the game. But it is kind of beneficial for some of the other ships, so it does end up helping the team if you do lay smoke in a cap. But if you're kind of in the situation where it is late in the game and you're trying to cap or whatnot, definitely use the island for hard cover. That is the way to go when you really kind of sit back and think about it. The island is first and foremost. Also, guys, I should mention, I am recording a low level of audio in the background, so you may hear somebody mumbling. Disregard, it is not important. Moving on. As you can see here, we've got a gentleman here to our 12 o'clock. We are definitely seeing some rounds being slung. Not 100% sure what he's shooting at, but you know what? It's fine. We don't need to know. We end up getting in over our head a little faster than planned. You never really want to get in over your head at all, especially in a destroyer. The strong points I would definitely say for the Gremyashchy are the long torpedo range at 8 kilometers. The guns have a very decent DPM. You can't out DPM an American destroyer, however, as those are mainly considered gunboats. The rudder shift is amazing. This thing can turn on a dime. The only downside is the turret rotation. It takes about 30 seconds for the turrets to go from one side to the other, even though I read somewhere it claims 15 seconds. So I don't know exactly what that is, but I can personally tell you it takes anywhere from 30 to 32 seconds for the turrets to go from one side to the other. If you're not moving or tracking targets, what have you. So right off the jump here, we're kind of not a whole lot going on. We do have 8 kilometer fish, so we have to keep that in mind. And we have a very brisk reload. Now, granted, in the higher tiers, you're going to find your reloads go, minute and a half, 2 minutes, no problem. Our reload is very, very, short. Around 60 seconds, 55, 60 seconds, depending on how you have your setup. The commander, Anton Gurin, there's a lot of things you can do with him to kind of help this out. Expedite that reload process. Now, the idea is I'm going to use this island for cover. I'm going to throw my fish out here to about my 10 o'clock position. See what happens, assuming he maintains course. And, some cruisers are a little bit more difficult to hit than others. Not necessarily this gentleman right here. But, cruisers in general tend to be a little wily. And it seems like because they have their own torpedoes, they seem to know, the best places to throw the fish, the possibilities, so on and so forth. It's like, if you're having trouble, defeating battleships, play battleships and learn the weaknesses, so on and so forth. Anyway, moving on. I am getting the crap kicked out of me right here. This gentleman is... He's eating my lunch. And I am not a fan. I'm falling back. I'm on fire. The ship is on fire. Everything is on fire because it's hell. I'm in trouble. I'm leaving this place. I'm not a fan at all. And unfortunately, in some ships in this game, you have to be cool with being on fire. And a battleship's one of them. However, as a destroyer operator, I am not a fan of it. So, we are leaving. We are out of there. We're going to throw fish on our way out as a parting gift. Like I said, with the reload, it is very possible. In the higher tiers, I tend to stagger my torpedo launches. But in the lower tiers, sometimes you can end up just throwing them all and it works out. But I always like to kind of have one in my back pocket. Especially for those times when, a destroyer comes out of nowhere, catches you with your pants down, so to speak. So, it's better to have it than not have it, I always say. But sometimes, though, you want to throw them both to make sure you get that kill, get that damage, what have you. So, and that's fine. Either one is fine. You just kind of need to find out what works for you. And that's exactly what it's all about. You just need to go out here and decide, are you confident you're going to connect with that one float of fish? Or, do you think you need to throw another one? What have you? The battleships are not bad to hit. I mean, sometimes, the battleships, if they set it up for rudder shift, they will finesse you. Cruisers will finesse you a lot. You kind of have to, catch a cruiser with his pants down. But the BBs you can definitely end up kind of, creeping up on. I do like to try to push up behind one of these islands and finesse these guys. That is definitely the way to go. If you can kind of sneak up behind them, pull out in front of them, throw fish right into their path, and then back behind the island. It is not easy, but it can be done. Trust me, I have done it. So moving on, as you can see here, that is exactly what we're kind of setting up for here. I know this gentleman is behind this island. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to try to get in range and see if I can have something waiting on him, for around the corner here. And you can kind of, use this as a device to see which way people are maneuvering as well. Even if you're not in range, you can still see where they are maneuvering. Okay, so we're going to set up to throw fish around this corner here, see what happens. It's a good possibility they're going to run right into them, which is kind of what we're hoping, but they may kick in the jets. And I think this is purposely why a lot of your battleship drivers don't necessarily run at full speed all the time. Maybe not all ahead full. Maybe they run at some different speeds. That way they can cut or improve power as far as the torpedoes go. Because a lot of people don't want to get close to them. A lot of their times their secondary are going to be 4 and 5 clicks. So you kind of have to keep your distance. You have to treat him with respect. Now, this guy's perfect. He is on He is on the border of the game there. And it would be perfect if we can get in range, we could throw fish, because if you know he's going to move at all, he's only going to go one way, and that is out of that wall. But the problem is, he's so far over there. Can we cover that gap while we're still being detected? I'm not sure, but you know what? We're damn sure going to give it a shot. We're going to pull up here and see what we can make happen. You know, the thing is, with a lot of these battleships, if you look at them close enough, you can see which way their guns are pointed, and that will kind of help you out. If they're pointed in your direction and you're not detected, if you know if you get detected, the moment he's going to try to obliterate you. So we're going to see what happens. So we're going to pull up here to this fella right here. We're going to throw some fish at him and see what happens. I mean, you know, there's a good chance we may end up connecting with him, which is, you know, the way I've always said, torpedoes are set up as to whom it may concern. You get there at the beginning of the game, you throw 2 flights of fish down in 2 different directions and see what happens. And more often than not, you'll end up connecting with somebody. So it's a good thing. Let's see if we can connect with this poor gentleman right here who's just trying to back up off the wall. And it looks good. It looks like they're going to connect there. Ooh, it's looking real nasty. Ooh, somebody is having fish for dinner. And it is you, my friend. He got decorated, and then the rest of them, the other float of them, caught him, and he is now sitting at the bottom of the channel. We are moving on here, trying to see if we can't get another target. It is essentially a 1v1 type situation because we don't have a whole lot of folks on the map. They don't either. You know, it can very easily go either way because, you know, you go around a corner, you go around an island, there could be 3 of them sitting there, or they could be none of them sitting there, or they could all focus you. So it can really go a lot of different ways. You have to keep that in mind. You have to keep your head on a swivel. It's always good to have that 1 extra reload of smoke in the launcher there, just in case something hits the fan. Now, granted, if you're in a British ship, destroyer, you have multiple uses. Now, granted, they're very short. They're kind of, you know, to protect yourself, not to set a screen for your allies. They're to throw down, get the heck out of there, and then, you know, reevaluate and come back in, what have you. And that's, you know, kind of not what we have. We have kind of crossed between the American and the British. You know, ours aren't as lengthy as the American, but they're still, you know, they're still up there, you know, a minute or so. You know, granted, they're not, you know, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes like the Americans. So it is what it is. Okay, we're going to see if we cannot possibly hit this nay. I don't know. These ships are just really, really hard to connect with. They're lighter on their feet, so to speak. I'm not generally a fan. If I did not already have, you know, a big meal here in front of me, I probably would have threw fish at that corner just to see what happens. But if he's going out of the area there, he's going out of the AO, and I'm heading in, let's see if we can't make the magic happen with this gentleman right here. Let us see if we cannot feed someone else fish for dinner. Now, we're coming about... we're essentially just getting out of here, you know, because that's pretty much what you want to do, guys. You want to throw your fish and just immediately turn and burn. You don't want to risk getting detected. I mean, you know, granted, this is an ideal situation. If you're surrounded on all sides, then sure, okay, let's talk about it. It's open for debate. In this particular ideal, though, we're going to throw fish. We're going to turn and burn. We're going to get out there. You know, let him deal with that. All the best. You know what I mean? And we're looking at him. He caught one right there. When they are bow tanking your fish, or they're heading towards you or away from you, they're only going to take 1 or 2 tops. You're not going to empty the clip on them, like, you know, if you can catch them unawares to the side. Now, you guys, you'll notice I always try to use a narrow focus to throw my torpedoes, and that is kind of what you want to do. You never want to throw wide except in certain circumstances. You know, you're just not sure where the guy's at, or, you know, it's kind of a to whom it may concern type situation. that's also fine. If they're facing them, it's very easy for them to split the uprights, and that is something as a destroyer captain you do not want to happen. So just keep that in mind. We're going to throw fish at this gent right here, see if we can make something happen. He's coming around the corner. We're gonna try to move up and take cover behind this island. I don't really want to use my smoke unless it's absolutely necessary, and I kind of feel the way the battle's going, it is not necessary. And boom, we have a good solid connection there. That gentleman took some rounds. He is cussing me as we speak. He is also flooding. Poor him, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine for me. And here come 3 more, and it is not looking good for him at all. Boom! Fish for dinner! Yes, so there we go. Another gentleman goes down. We are almost getting into the 6 digits right now. That's kind of our goal, is to get in there. We still have 1 gentleman left on the map, and he is. We are thinking about quartering him up right now and chowing down. We're kind of, jockeying for position a little bit. We want to be in a perfect position when we can throw these. That ideally, when you throw your fish, you want to be able to do it to where they cannot dodge. They can't go backwards, they can't turn. Whatever they do, you want it to kind of have no impact at all. So we're going to back up now that we kind of have a good solid eye on this gentleman. For some reason, I thought he was coming around the other side of the island, but it's fine. We are going to throw some hate downrange and see what happens. If you throw enough poop against the wall, eventually some of it is going to stick. And that is the same thought process with torpedoes. We're going to back out a little bit here, and we're going to throw some fish downrange and see what happens. 90% of the time, when you're firing torpedoes, it's not like, using your cannons where you're like, I'm going to shoot this guy and he's going to take damage, and I'm going to be happy, he's going to be sad. When you're throwing torpedoes, the end result is, let's see what happens. And it's so weird coming from, a World of Tanks type situation. Oh my god, that guy's going to have fish for dinner. Big time. It looks like the other one passed him. Looks like we're going to catch him maybe just a little. No, yes. A little bit. Caught him a little bit. And you go from something, taking a gun, firing it, giving someone direct damage. The torpedo thing, as a World of Tanks player, is a little odd. And I did play it a little bit on PC, but I never think I did. I did play the actual destroyers, which are awesome. Destroyers are hilarious. I love them. It fits my skill set perfectly. Sneaky. Okay, so we ended up doing 114,000 damage, 270,000 silver credits, what have you. Had a blast. Love the game. Love DDs. Love destroyers. Fits my skill set perfectly. It is what I do. I am sneaky. I makes the murder happen. Guys, I really hope you enjoy. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button.